meeting here. We have first the meeting of the salary board and then followed by the board of commissioners meeting. So we call to order the meeting of the salary board. Today's date, April 13th, on the hour 9:30. Having time. Start with the roll call of members present of the salary board.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Commissioner Fauci.
I'm here.
Commissioner DiFilippo.
Present.
Deputy Controller DeGrossa.
Here.
Thank you. All right, that opens the opportunity for public comment for any issues regarding the salary board. Nothing, so we'll move on to item 4. Some minutes of our meeting of March 30th. Entertain a motion for action.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 30th, salary board minutes.
Second. Been seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item 5 is the salary board actions. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the salary board actions as presented.
A second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any additional business to come before the salary board? See none, so we'll entertain a motion for adjournment. We adjourn the meeting of the salary board, and that brings us to our commissioners meeting. Welcome to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll need order. Roll call, members present.
Commissioner Eichelberger. Commissioner Fauci.
I'm here.
Commissioner DiFilippo.
Present. Okay, thank you. All right, that moves us into the public comment period. So any comments on any agenda items to be considered by the board of commissioners can be handled when that agenda item is handled. Anything additional should come to now. Members of the public, anything, Mr. DiFilippo.
Denny Nebo, West Pennsboro Township. Commissioner Eichelberger, I found the March 30th Commissioner meeting very interesting. I believe my comments this morning have at least 2 germane applications. One I will address directly, and I think the second one will be apparent to anyone who attended or watches that meeting online. You stated the county treasurer made false statements for political reasons at a finance committee meeting. That reminded me of how in 2017, you insisted you knew more about the law than our district attorney in order to justify using your taxpayer-funded solicitor to compile a complaint of false criminal charges against me regarding a few emails. Your taxpayer-funded communications department to distribute a press release about it to the press, and to publicly announce your intent to file such complaint to the Attorney General's office at a taxpayer-funded public commissioners meeting. You did this 6 months before an election where I was on the ballot. That was a blatant, egregious political attack based on false accusations, and it gets even worse. The Attorney General's office responded indicating no criminal charges would be filed as a result of your complaint 2 months before the election. Did you similarly publicly announce that? No, you did not. Neither you nor the then board chairman, Commissioner DiFilippo, announced that fact to clear my name before the election. Not then, not to this day. This was not surprising for you, Mr. Eichelberger, given your effort to defeat your Republican colleague in your 2015 campaign, discrediting her in your campaign literature with false statements regarding your non-involvement and her involvement in the last countywide reassessment. You tried to separate yourself from the last countywide reassessment in that literature by slamming it, when in fact, that reassessment was instituted without dissent when both you, serving as chairman, and the other Republican commissioners seated from the 2007 election were in office together. The reassessment resolution was passed on January 24, 2008. The 21st Century was contracted to do the reassessment on March 10, 2008. Your 2015 colleague, also running for re-election, wasn't even in office until May of 2008. But in your campaign literature, you stated that she, quote, joined with the Democrats to institute a controversial property tax reassessment plan on taxpayers, unquote. Then in one of the most deceitful campaign tactics I have ever witnessed, at least at the local government level, you cited as proof, quote, Cumberland County Board of Commissioner voting records and meeting minutes 2008 to 2014. 2 actions instituted the reassessment. Why would you cite a 7-year span of minutes to send the voters fishing in instead of citing minutes from 2 dates, because in fact, there is nothing in those minutes that confirms your statements. The actual minutes contradict that, including allegations that your colleague voted for property tax increases that you didn't yourself vote for during that time period. Shoot, well, false accusations worked to defeat her in 2015. So if we just keep quiet about the AG's response for 2 more months, maybe they'll work to defeat, quote, this ongoing troublemaker, unquote, as you referred to me in a Sentinel Post on an article covering your faux public complaint. Mr. Eichelberger, Mr. DiFilippo, I believe you owe me a public apology for your false accusations against me for criminal behavior. And Mr. Eichelberger, you also for your January 11th, 2020 county email to me received by other members of your staff telling me to, quote, try not being an effing idiot. That's the censored version, unquote. Language that is certainly not professional or appropriate according to the county email policy. If you refuse to do so, I expect that you will be issued a public censure for your inappropriate county email communication. But most importantly of all, I think you owe the voters of Cumberland County an apology for your nefarious and deceitful misuse of general references to official county records to cover up false statements in your political campaigns. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll only respond by saying I have a very different recollection of the events, and I stand by my version of things. And I don't think that your behavior was excused by the AG. He simply said that they didn't rise to the level that he felt it warranted their time.
I was not a crime. It was not a crime, Mr. Eichelberger. That's what you accused me of, criminal behavior. That's why you give that to the Attorney General. The Attorney General doesn't mess around with policies.
Well, they spent a long time looking at it and basically
That doesn't
did
change
indicate-
about the fact that you lied in your campaign literature. That's here
Yeah,
and
that's-
also in the minutes.
that's not an issue for this board. If you want to engage in a political debate at a public political.
I'm talking about your line, which was addressed in the last meeting. That's all I'm trying to say.
Any additional
It
public?
was not even fair if you would have announced what the Attorney General said. If you wanted to say he was not going to file charges, that's fine. That's what you should have said 2 months before the election.
Okay, your opinion is noted. Any
I'm
additional
taking it
public
as
comment? I have nothing to say on it now. I stand by what I've done, what I've said. So, any additional public comment on other issues?
There's no one online.
No one online? Okay, very good. Okay, that moves us into the consent agenda. We have, of course, this is where we pass it off to the chief clerk. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So the consent agenda is a list of routine items that do not appear to be controversial and do not appear to require a discussion. Now would be the time if anyone would request discussion on agenda items 4 through 11. To note that now, so those items can be removed from the consent agenda. Hearing no requests, I would ask for the consent agenda to be approved.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That takes us then to the regular agenda for items that require discussion, and they'll be acted upon individually. And we'll start with agenda item 12. We have Heather Tidwell here, and actually she'll be covering agenda item 13 as well to discuss and home, as well as the certificate for Normandy law.
Yep, so lots to cover this morning. As when I took over CDBG and the home programs and things like that, one of the first things that I wanted to do was move into this policy of if you're not going to use these funds, let's put it to somewhere that they can be used. So we have been in constant contact with everybody that was granted awards prior to me to make sure that they were aware of those with turnovers through COVID, things like that, which has helped us spend down a lot more, which allowed us to get more in our allocation this year. So in both CDBG and home, we saw an increase in our allocation from HUD. We're hoping to see that continue to move forward. With that, in part of the awards process, what we did was in February, everybody who had an open activity What that means doesn't matter if it had $1 left on it or if it had $100,000. We had a meeting. Where are you on track to being able to get your project done? Understanding that things were awarded in September, paving wasn't going to be done. But are you out to bid? Do you have your plan put together? Everything ready to go as soon as you're ready to pave? That allowed us to continue to move forward with when applications were due on March 15th. The review panel was able to do an extensive scoring process to ensure that if they're open activities, they have a plan to spend it, they're on track to spend it, as well as they are moving forward with continuing to help our community in the low to moderate areas. So the activities that were putting forth in the plan are definitely very demonstrated of that. We got a lot more applications than we've ever seen. So there was definitely a lot of interest, which is great. It's great, which means that a lot of things are happening in our community we're able to fund. And it also opened us up to being able to get more people, new grantees that we had not seen before. So that was a very exciting thing as well. So a big thing that I've brought to this program is sustainability. I don't want to continue to fund programs that are not able to fund themselves. If they are payroll support, how long do you need this payroll support? Are you going to be able to fund it on your own? Because if something happens that you're not able to get your full amount, is somebody going to lose their job? So we want to try to encourage that and be able to push that forward. And that was a big thing as well, that you'll see some of the payroll supports that had been previously granted have changed or edited to ask for actual more building support, more fixing the buildings and things to be able to continue to move forward. Don't want to fund people's payroll if and then in case something does happen. Now we did put out a big home RFP. We did not get any hits back, which it takes a while to present those, as well as then projecting this. If you're going to ask for the money, you need to have land control. You need to be able to do and document everything needed to be able to come to the table and ask for 400,000, 500,000. And we have a lot of projects in discussion right now. We're hoping to get within the next 4 to 7 months, probably 3 projects to present, and those will come on a separate meeting. So we do have a set aside for the community housing development so that those CHODO applications is set aside funds. That way, if somebody does go for CHODO in their activity, they're able to use those funds as well.
Do you have any questions for Heather? And Heather is looking for approval today of the annual action plan.
So I will move to approve the program year 2023 CDBG annual action plan as presented this morning.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
To the next. So prior to me coming on board, the home activities used to go in front of the Affordable House Trust Fund. 2 activities were presented. One was funded, the other was not, and they received money from DCED. Part of DCED's match requirement is that they would like funds to be presented through Cumberland County as well. The problem was the activity was so far along in the process, all of the funds and everything was, all the I's were dotted, everything except for going to closing. For Cumberland County to add any amount of money, no matter if it was $1 or more, it was going to cost the activity over $75K. So we got a waiver with all the lawyer fees and changing things. So we got a waiver from DCED, not that we did not have to put in funds as long as we certified the activity as a CHODO. So that is the letter you see in front of you, is to certify it. I have reviewed the extensive amount of documentation that is required for that. It's even more than the action plan. That's a lot. So they, this is also a project and an organization that has been a CHODO for many other projects. So they follow this with multiple other counties as well.
And we're looking for approval of that as well today.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the Community Housing Development Organization certification for Normandy Lofts.
I second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. If there's no further question, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you so much.
We'll scan and email you the letter.
Okay, I dropped off a couple other things for signatures, so we can come back later today.
That takes us to agenda item 14. We do have Peter Callum here, who is the new director as of Monday, April 10th, of the Office of Veterans Affairs and Services. And commissioners, as you know, her hiring also requires formal appointment, and so I'm asking for that today.
So I will move to appoint Peter Callum as Director of the Office of Veterans Affairs and Services.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion.
You get to work.
Noted.
And Peter, you're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but I know that in terms of getting to work, I know that we do have state staff on site today to provide training, so you are welcome to get to work.
Thank you so much.
Have a good morning.
Should I go out this way?
Okay, that takes us then to agenda item 15. We've got Brent Durham on Zoom to discuss bid results for refuse removal and to also talk about potential awards of that contract. Good morning, Brent.
Good morning, everyone. We advertised to accept bidding for refuse and recycle hauling for a 3-year term. We received 0 bids from the first advertisement, despite sending out invites to 6 local haulers. The second advertising, we received 1 bid. However, that bid was quickly withdrawn due to a mathematical error. The third advertising, we had 1 bidder, Waste Connections of Pennsylvania Incorporated. This bid included a total amount for refuse, a total for recycle, and then a combined total. The 3-year bid for refuse hauling is in the amount of $140,370.48. The 3-year bid for the recycle hauling is $27,009.60. The combined total for the refuse and recycle for the 3 years comes to $167,380.08. Waste Connections is our current hauler. The only change in this bid from what we currently have is I added 2 small totes to a location. We have containers at 11 different locations, all of which are varied sizes and frequencies of pickup. Before I continue, is there any questions on the bid or the contract? If there's no questions, then
Does anyone else?
We typically don't receive that type of paperwork to put in the packet. It's just typically presented. We can certainly look at getting that type of paperwork.
The contract is part of the bid documentation.
Okay, so you've seen it, Keith.
Yes.
You mentioned 167, and it says it was 176. So I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's an old version of the,
Oh,
yeah, no, we did notice that. Brent caught that yesterday.
My fault.
Eagle-eyed Brent caught that, and we fixed it. We just didn't get all of them, apparently.
so if there's not any further questions, I would ask that a motion be made to award the refuse and recycle removal for Cumberland County, Pennsylvania government buildings contract to Waste Connections of Pennsylvania Incorporated in the amount of $167,380.08.
Make that motion.
I second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
Thanks.
All right, that takes us then to agenda item 16, and we have Kim Whitten here to discuss the contract for aging and community services. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. This is a renewal contract for our office to continue doing FED assessments to determine level of care. This is a 3-year contract with an increase each year, and included in this contract is payment for appeals that are done. So that's an additional payment that we'll receive for doing assessments if they appeal.
Any questions for Kim?
I will move to approve the Aging Well PA LLC contract for aging and community services.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 17, we have Adrienne Vaughn with us to discuss the contract addendum for the district attorney's office.
Good morning, Commissioners. What is before you is the lease agreement for the Victim Services Satellite Office in Camp Hill. This was a previous lease agreement. I think we had it for 3 years. It was to expire July 1st. When the VOCA grant went federal and now has a start date of October 1st, we asked the landlord to amend the lease to show that difference so that it would match up with our budget and our grant application. What is before you is for 3 months of the current grant we were in of between July 1st and September 30th. And then the remaining is for the next grant cycle, which is currently being reviewed by PCCD for approval. Because the VOCA grant was only a 1-year budget right now, we asked the landlord to just do a 1-year lease, technically 15 months with the included 3 months. That's what I'm asking before you today, is just to approve that lease agreement.
And that 15 months is reflected by the amount of 12,288.
That is correct. The lease actually went up starting October 1st. It actually goes up about, I think it was like $42 a month or something like that it goes up.
Make a motion to approve the 2120 Market Street Associates LLC contract addendum for the district attorney's office as presented.
I second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Further questions? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Oh, was there an accident out there?
Yeah, later.
Oh, okay. Long sound.
All right, we also have Mark Adams here to discuss the contract for Pitney Bowes for MTO.
Last month you approved the capital project for certified mail system, which allows us to get rid of the green cards that we're using for certified mail and use electronic application to do that, and then capture signatures electronically and filing and reducing paperwork and that kind of stuff. This is just a contract to go along with that. It's $56,481.12. That's a 4-year agreement. So annually about $14,000 for that system. So any questions? Looking forward to the approval of that contract today.
Well, I will move to approve the Pitney Bowes contract for IMTO as discussed this morning in the amount of $56,481.12.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. No further questions. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next we have Sue Carbaugh on Zoom to discuss the contracts for MHIDD. Hi, Sue.
Hi. So good morning, Commissioners. We have 5 contracts here. The first 2 are for intellectual disabilities. We have AHEAD Incorporated, which is an amendment and which is an increase of $1,289 for additional authorized services for supported employment. And we have Aspirations LLC, which is also an amendment. It's an increase of $15,480 for additional authorized services for behavioral support. For early intervention, we have Joanna Carnes, which is an amendment. It's an increase of $8,743 for additional authorized services for special instruction. We have a new contract, Potentiality Therapy Services, a new contract for fiscal year 22-23 for occupational therapy. The amount of the contract will be $16,346. And our last one is a contract for Shannon Sweeney. It's an amendment. It's an increase of $2,741 for additional authorized services for physical therapy. Is there any questions?
And Sue is looking for approval today.
Move to approve the contracts for MHIDD as listed, and that includes for the intellectual and developmental disabilities, addendum for AHEDD, addendum for Aspirations LLC, and early intervention, addendum for Joanna Carnes, MTBC, Potentiality Therapy Services LLC, and the addendum for Shannon Sweeney PT.
A second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. All right, next we have contracts and grants for planning. We've got Kirk Stoner online to discuss. Looks like he'll be heading over to the
Yes.
hazardous waste
Mhm.
event a
will.
little bit later.
You're not gonna get hit by any cars today.
No, very visible. 11 to 5 today, so if anybody needs to come on out, we have 360 some folks registered, but looking for a good day. So yeah. First item here is Dickinson Township Land Partnerships Agreement. It's for $40,000 for trail development in their Lindenwood and Stewart Parks. You want to take these individually, or do you want to do them as a group?
I think we can
We
do
can
them
do
as a
them all
group.
together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the second one is HRG. You may be aware, HRG is our county clean water coordinator. So through the Department of Environmental Protection, we have a countywide clean water action plan. HRG serves our coordinator for that. This grant is for $101,500. It's through the Department of Environmental Protection, and it funds a variety of clean water action planning we're working with HRG on, as well as implementation projects that are reducing pollution to our countywide waterways. Final item there is the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant application for $274,270. This is a outfall of the bipartisan infrastructure law. So as part of that, the feds have given counties and municipalities of a certain size formula grants for energy efficiency projects. So some of you may be aware, back in 2009 timeframe, we received $2.3 million from the same program. John Lopp and I co-managed that at the time, went through the whole process to do that. This is the same program, just less money this time, about $274,000. Working with Brent Durham, we're going to be working to put together a list of potential projects that are consistent with the program guidelines and bring them back, work with Stacy, and then ultimately bring them back to the board for your consideration for funding. The approval today gives us the authorization to submit an initial application saying we want the funds, and then we have to work through many bureaucratic steps to actually get the money, but we will weather through that to get the money that we need.
Any questions for?
So I will move to approve the contracts and the grants for planning as discussed this morning by Kirk Stoner, including a contract for Dickinson Township Land Partnerships, a contract for HRG, that's an addendum, and then the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant application of $274,270.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. There's no further questions. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Stay safe today. Wear some
All right, we'll do it.
sunscreen.
Oh, yeah, it's already on.
Sunny out there. That takes us to agenda item 21. We have Justin Miller joining us to discuss the Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful grant application.
Good morning, commissioners.
Okay, or no, we did not. We do not have Justin Miller
No.
joining us today.
He's at the Household Hazardous Waste event, so I'm presenting for him. Recycling and Waste was awarded a grant for $300 from Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful. It's going to be used for the household hazardous waste, and it has no county match requirement. And we're looking for acceptance of this grant. Are there any questions? And would you like to take action today?
Any questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Move to approve the grant application of $300 for the Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful program.
I second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. There's no further questions. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks for covering that for him. I know, I was wondering how he was going to do that. I just thought maybe we would see him on a cell phone or something. Thanks, Justin. Okay, that takes us then to agenda item 22, which is a capital project request for public safety. We've got Bob Shively here to discuss and request approval.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Requesting approval for a capital project to add 2 console positions in the 911 center. During our initial building design in 2008, hard to believe that's 15 years ago, but we've been in the building now 12 years. We did plan for 2 future consoles. That's all been wired and cable trays, computer wiring and everything under the floor. So this project with ongoing staffing demands and our new hire groups being 4 or 6 people, we're doubling up and sometimes Staff is being pushed out of the room into either the EOC or the message center, which doesn't work as well for proximity and communication. With the capital project, it would be 2 furniture consoles, Raidline 911 consoles, the associated equipment, PC workstations, Cisco phones, radio console position, task lighting. Now, the task lighting, we have several positions that needed replacement task lighting. So that will do task lighting for all the positions in the 911 center, and then 911 center carpeting. We have several positions that had been really bad coming up, and we've been waiting to do the consoles in concert with the carpet because we need to lift the consoles and lift the flooring to replace the carpet. So it would be a combined project. The total is $110,630. It is 911 funding eligible, but with costs and our subsidy, that may impact the general fund. Any questions?
Don't have any.
Need a motion?
I'm going to move to approve the capital project request for public safety for emergency communications center modifications with a total project cost of $110,630.
Second. Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next 2 agenda items are capital project requests for the district attorney's office for FID. We've got Eric online to discuss. Hi, Eric.
Oh, hi, good morning, commissioners. The 2 projects before you, the one project number 22 on line 22 is for $2,261,910. That is the 5-year cost projection on the firearms grant, of which 1.5 million is covered by a PCCD grant. And do you want them together, or do you want to do them separate?
Separate, please.
Okay. So that was number 20.
Questions?
Yeah, I've been asking for at least a week or 2 to get documentation on what the general fund effect is, and all I see here is ongoing, see attached.
That should have been replaced.
And I can't make a motion on this as.
Okay, I apologize, Commissioner. We received that information, and I thought that was replaced in the packets. I do not.
This is what's in my packet.
Yeah, I do not have the most recent version in my packet, nor did I print a copy to bring with me. But we do have that information. I apologize for not getting it out to you in a timely manner. I believe if memory serves, Eric, can you provide that information over the copy that you have? I believe it was $761,910 is the projected year 3, 4, and 5 impact to the general fund. However, as presented at the finance meetings earlier, that is I believe, a worst case scenario if there was no other funding coming in. Is that correct, Eric?
As I'm doing my math, yes, that's correct. I don't have the total. I have the totals here broken down by year, but yes, that's correct.
Commissioners, would you like to move this to the finance meeting next week, and we can provide the updated document for you to review in advance? Eric, are you available at 1:30 on the 19th?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I can't make a motion.
It won't matter until the finance.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we table the potential approval of the capital project request for the district attorney's office for firearms laboratory. Total project cost of $2,261,910.
I second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. The motion is 2.
Solicitor, just before Eric moves to the next agenda item, I believe that on the finance agenda, we will have to have a motion to take this off the table. Just wanted to make sure, so we have the finance meeting agenda done appropriately. Thank you. Okay, so Eric, agenda item 24, the second capital project request.
Sure. This is for a covered L forensic science improvement grant for $162,823 to provide equipment for the laboratory for the chemistry laboratory for the siege drug department. It is a no match Coverdell grant.
Do you have any questions for Eric?
How does this relate to item 23? Because we just tabled item 23.
I don't believe
Separate.
there's a connection.
Yeah, they're separate. They're separate.
Okay, so they're
Yeah,
separate.
yeah,
Okay, all right. Then I will move to approve the capital project request for the district attorney's office FID for lab equipment with a total project cost of $162,823.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. There's no further questions. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Commissioner.
Eric. We'll see you on the 19th.
Okay.
Okay, that takes us into agenda item 25, which is Commissioner Liaison Report. And Commissioner Eichelberger, I'll start with you.
Yeah, just a little bit. Kirk mentioned that the household hazardous waste is young lady did, and he needs to get up to date because Judd tells me there's 385 people, not 364, that are signed up for the 400 spots available. So assuming that what Judd told me is correct, but anyhow, either way, it's good news. There's the public still embracing the opportunity here for household hazardous waste, and there's great opportunity for us on that, and it's a success. I'm going to try to get out the part of that today. That's from 11 to 5. So anybody, if there's still spaces available there, if anybody's hearing this and forgot to sign up, now's your opportunity. I did check in with our folks, our friends at MHIED. No real update on MH. We're all very engaged in that issue. Just wanted a reminder. So the next community meeting apparently is scheduled for Wednesday, April 19th, and that's at the Carlisle United Methodist Church. Andy sent me that just a little while ago. So, and on IDD side, there are no updates at this point. So, all right. So, and CADIC had their 3 orientation meetings for briefing of new committee members and new board members. I attended 2 of those as an observer, and they were very successful, very helpful. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fauci.
I would remind everyone to use the Cumberland County Library System. And the only of my liaison assignments that met was the Western COG, the Western Council of Governments, where again, there was a detailed conversation about the P25 radio project and the lack of funds that they have to buy those radios, to purchase those radios. And I do expect that they'll be coming in to have a conversation with the board about that. But I did provide them with the deadline to order the Motorola radios that was sent out to Karen. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DiFilippo.
Yeah, thank you. The Ag Board met yesterday. The ranking committee provided the recommendations for the ranking of the farms all the farms who have an application right now. This year, we have certified $4.2 million with the program, of which 80% is coming from the state, federal government, Silver Spring Township. And there will be, the recommendation was for 12 farms to be offered normal easement, and 4 will be offered a bargain sale arrangement. It equates to 16 potential farms and potentially just under 1,200 acres. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would like to report that an executive session was held on April 6, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. And now I'll ask if there is any other business to come before the board today.
Just 2 items. This is, since I'm here, this is National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. So I just wanted to make a quick mention, thanking both our staff for the work they do all year long, as well as all the other telecommunicators across the state. So fabulous work day in and day out, and we appreciate all they do. And reminder for the public, we are under elevated risk of wildfires. And if municipals that haven't heard, West Pennsboro Township, Lower Mifflin Township, and Monroe Township have enacted burn bans. So there's 3 currently. I don't know if we'll get more or not, but you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Shively. Any other business to come before the board today? Hearing none, we are adjourned.